What is framing theory? How the media packages and presents information to the public. According to the theory, the media highlights certain events and then places them within a particular context to encourage or discourage certain interpretations. It is also the second level of agenda setting theory. According to Sarin in 2006, second level agenda setting holds that not only do media outlets tell voters what to think about, they also tell voters what parts of what they're thinking about they should be thinking about. Kind of confusing, right? Well, this can be viewed in very many perspectives. As Entman in 1993 stated, to frame is to select some aspect of a perceived reality and make them more salient in a communication text. In such ways as promoting a particular problem definition, casual interpretation, moral evaluation, and/or a treatment recommendation for an item described. More recently, McCaw, Shomes, and Weaver in 1997 suggested that not only are agenda setting and framing related, framing is, in fact, an extension of agenda setting. They used the term second-level agenda setting to describe the impact of the salience of characteristics of media coverage on audiences' interpretations of these stories.
Now for some history on the framing theory. According to Adala Brew, 2015, the concepts and theories of framing were recovered for the field of sociology by Irving Goffman in 1974, and it was this renewed sociological perspective which was used in communication studies. Goffman refers to a frame as a social framework and as a mental schema that allows users to organize experiences. In addition, according to Shillman in 2018, framing theory assumes that people have multiple pieces of information available or stored in their memory. When opinion is solicited, people search their memory for information.
According to Dennis Chong and James Druckmann, the goal of framing is to understand the public opinion and how these frames influence the audience's attitudes by highlighting a bit of information on an event, item, or topic. The first thing to do is identify the issue or event. Then, journalists isolate a specific attitude toward the event that they want to portray to their audience. Based off of this isolated attitude, communicators will then decide what to say. The receivers will then make responses based off the one interpretation. There are several techniques to use when framing, according to Fairhurst and Sarr. The first is metaphor. Metaphor is to frame a conceptual idea through comparison to something else. Stories, to frame a topic via narrative in a vivid, memorable way. Tradition, which is rituals and ceremonies. Slogan, jargon, catchphrase, to frame an object with a catchy phrase to make it more memorable and relatable. Artifact, objects with intrinsic symbolic value. Contrast, which is to describe an object in terms of what it is not. And lastly, spin, to present a concept in such a way as to convey a value judgment, which is positive or negative, that might not be immediately apparent. So how is framing used? According to Robert M. Entman, framing is a common concept used in political news. Politicians that seek support are motivated to compete with each other, thus framing plays a major role in the exertion of political power. Framing also plays a role in portraying what the media wants you to see going on in the news and what it doesn't. Framing is such a common concept used to show support for or against the government, war views, and much more. There have been so many studies done analyzing the framing effects, such as how different frames could affect the overall opinions of the public. Our skit exhibits how the media can frame just one idea of a story and leave it out other alternatives.
Okay, I'll now take any questions.
Marty.
Yeah, go ahead, you.
Congressman Smith, do you have any comment on the recent polls showing that Chicago's crime rate has gone up 12% in the past 4 years?
Why, yes. I believe crime has only gone up in Chicago because the lawmakers are just cowards. They actually refuse to crack down on hard crime within their state. No further comment.
All right, so I'll take any questions from the audience now.
Yeah,
right there.
Congressman Martin, we are just now getting reports that Republican Congressman Marty Smith has just called the lawmakers in Illinois cowards that don't tackle crime. Do you care to respond?
Well, Congressman Smith is clueless about the situation as he is from the great state of Alabama and seems to love his powerful police forces like he loves his guns. But we all know what the last powerful police force in Selma looked like. No further comment.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news, we are just now getting reports that Republican leader Marty Smith made a statement towards Democrat Al Martin, calling him a coward for not cracking down on crime in his home state of Illinois. This attack on Democrats is absolutely ridiculous, considering how much Martin has done for the city of Chicago, providing for underprivileged families and helping lower the status of unemployment.
We have a breaking story for you coming from D.C. right now. Democratic Congressman Al Martin called Republican Congressman Marty Smith of Alabama clueless and only loves his guns and powerful police forces. This comment came after Congressman Smith simply answered why he thought crime had gone up in the city of Chicago. This attack from the left was low class and completely out of line for U.S. congressmen, especially because being Congressman, Smith has helped reduce the crime rate to a record low.
I'm being told we have breaking news story from Capitol Hill. Yes, according to multiple reports, Republican Congressman Marty Smith and Democratic Congressman Al Martin are fighting over what here at Independent News we have determined to be nothing at all. Yes, Democrats and Republicans are fighting over absolutely nothing and simply lashing out at each other for being part of different groups. The simple difference of views by lawmakers has been blown out of proportions by national media and pitting these two congressmen against each other. But in reality, they simply just don't agree on a few things, and even though their end goal is to better the American people. Good night.
As you can see from the video example, framing in media portrays not what the media wants you to think, but what the media wants you to think about. We can see examples of framing from each news media outlet as based on the agenda they are trying to portray to the public. Now, to quickly summarize framing theory as a whole, framing theory is how the media packages and presents information to the public. The media highlights certain events and then places them within a particular context to encourage or discourage certain interpretations. Since its start in 1974, framing theory, also known as the second level of agenda setting, helps people understand how news and media sources can alter the mindset of the public. This theory is often seen in action by news broadcasting stations, mostly in cases of war, poverty, or even political agenda. Framing also works hand in hand with threat perception. As Woodworm claims, how a threat is framed may influence subsequent threat perception. Other than news coverage, framing could be seen in advertisements, politics, or even crisis communication. That about wraps up framing theory. Thanks for watching, and we hope you learned something.